Good day, folks. This is your hillbilly historian coming to you from the hills of East Tennessee, Lawfare, Tennessee, the hills of Appalachia, as your hillbilly historian, bringing to you truth, historical truth that you won't find in your textbooks. Today, I want to talk about Leslie County, Kentucky. Now, in 1987, Leslie County, Kentucky had a population of 15,000 people. It's a small county in eastern Kentucky, hills of eastern Kentucky, not much level land, a lot of coal mining. After Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Hussein Obama, was president for 8 years, population of Leslie County dropped to about 10,000. So in 8 years, he practically destroyed the county. 1/3 of its people had to leave to find work because he destroyed the coal industry. But anyway, what I want to point out to you is the case of Lawfare. Now, we've seen an example of Lawfare used against Trump by the Biden administration, the FBI, the DOJ, all the agencies of government used against people like Bill Clinton used the government agencies to go after the Christian Coalition and Ralph Reed. Biden used all the government agencies to go after Sarah Palin and the Tea Party. And the Biden administration, along with Obama and the people who were pulling his strings, did everything they could to destroy Trump from 2020 to 2024. And Trump was stronger than Ralph Reed or Sarah Palin. He was wealthier, stronger. MAGA movement was stronger. And the media, the corrupt, crooked media, and the corrupt, crooked agencies of the U.S. government cannot destroy Trump or the MAGA movement. But there was a little case of Lawfare when Jimmy Carter was president. Richard Nixon resigned from a corrupt judicial system, a corrupt media, and a corrupt government agencies that were out to destroy Richard Nixon. Washington Post, New York Times, ABC, NBC, CBS, they all hated Nixon. And they wanted to destroy him. And they went after him over the Watergate issue and basically milked it for everything they could get out of it. And he resigned. He had a bunch of rhinos in the Republican Party that wouldn't stand up for him. Howard Baker Jr., Barry Goldwater, they were rhinos, interested only in their own careers and their money, maintaining their money streams. So they wouldn't stand up for Nixon the way Robert Byrd from West Virginia, John Glenn from Ohio, and these corrupt Democrats stood up for Bill Clinton when they had Bill Clinton for real crimes. They had no crimes against Nixon. Only fake crimes, hoaxes and stuff like they tried to use against Trump. But Nixon felt the pressure and he got no help from his rhino friends. Thank God Trump got help from his Republican friends. There were enough Republicans with spines and backbones and guts who stood up for him, but they wouldn't stand up for Nixon back in the 70s. 1974, Richard Milhouse Nixon resigned from the presidency. Gerald Ford pardoned him, so there wouldn't be any further law cases against him. And that was a generous move on, because Gerald Ford was a big rhino, a Republican in name only. But anyway, Richard Milhouse Nixon resigned in 1974. Well, 4 years later, in 1978, when Jimmy Carter was president, his first term, a little high school in Leslie County, they built a new high school, and they wanted to name it after Richard Milhouse Nixon. And they invited Nixon to come and speak at its opening, and he agreed to it. And this led to a huge public event in Leslie County, Kentucky, because, like I say, they only had 15,000 people that lived in that county, and according to local reports in Leslie County in Kentucky, over 80,000 people showed up for Nixon's first public appearance after his resignation in 1974. And this was Leslie County in 1978. New York Times claimed only 6,000 people showed up, but from the stories I've heard in Leslie County, there wasn't any place left to park cars. They ran buses from Ashland, Kentucky, down to Leslie County. People park up there and ride buses. And from London, Kentucky, over on I-75, people could park there, and they would run buses to Leslie County for people to see Nixon's speech. And he spoke on how the United States should deal with Russia. It was a speech based on foreign policy, and he had over 80,000 supporters come out and hear his speech. And they dedicated the high school to Richard Milhouse Nixon. And the event made national news, and Jimmy Carter was pissed. So he used the Department of Justice and the FBI, government agencies, to go after everybody in Leslie County. Go down there, charge all these people with all the crimes you can charge them with. And there were armies of FBI investigators and criminals from the Department of Justice and the FBI scouring all over Leslie County. Now, Leslie County is 99% Republican. And so Jimmy Carter went after them. They charged 10 Republicans, prominent Republicans in Leslie County, with federal crimes, and one Democrat. They found one Democrat, charged him with federal crimes, mail fraud stuff, and his name was Eddie Collette. I went to college with Eddie Collette. He was chairman of the Young Democrats Club at Berea College when I was chairman of the Young Republicans Club. So we were competitors, so to speak, even though we really didn't go up against each other or anything there at Berea, but I used to try to pull dirty political tricks on Eddie Collette. He was so honest so forthright. Nothing but integrity and honesty come out of him. Eddie Collette was one of the greatest young men that ever went through Berea College. A wonderful young man. He attended Louisville Law School. Was practicing law in Leslie County, his hometown, after he graduated from law school. He was real proud of his law practice there in Leslie County, but they had to pick on one Democrat, 10 Republicans and one Democrat there in Leslie County. County seat is hiding, so they brought 11 of them. And Eddie, he copped a plea with the feds, and they gave him 6 months in a federal prison in Lexington and disbarred him. Well, the county executive in Kentucky, they were very powerful people. County executive of Leslie County at that time was C. Allen Muncy, M-U-N-C-Y, Muncy. And he was charged. He was one of the 10 Republicans charged, and he fought them. He didn't work out a plea agreement. He fought them, and he fought Jimmy Carter and the Department of Justice all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled in his favor, and he got all 10 Republicans and one Democrat, Eddie Collette, where the charges were dropped and they could get their law practice back and everything. C. Allen Muncy is a great American hero. He fought Jimmy Carter and the entire federal government from this little bitty county in eastern Kentucky. He fought them all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States and won! Kicked Jimmy Carter's ass and the FBI's ass and the Department of Justice, those criminals, corrupt criminals at the Department of Justice. He kicked their butts, and he won and got them all. All the charges dropped or thrown out of court, dismissed, and they got their jobs back. They got their law practices back, and C. Allen Muncy should go down in history as a great, great American Republican who fought and won against Jimmy Carter and the entire corrupt DOJ, Department of Justice, and FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. He beat them all. And it was a great, great, great act on his part. So Lawfare, like when FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, tried to use Lawfare against Andrew Mellon back in 1933 and 34. He fought him in court. They found him not guilty of all the charges. Trump fought him all the way and won. MAGA fought all the way and won. You cannot roll over for these criminal deep staters in the Department of Justice and the FBI. You cannot roll over and surrender to their lawfare. You have to fight. And C. Allen Muncy fought. Now Eddie, he worked out a plea agreement, but yet C. Allen Muncy took his case with him to the Supreme Court and got them all overturned, and was a great, great American against use of criminal lawfare. And you know, I'm still upset. I'm a conservative Republican, but I'm still upset that Ronald Reagan used lawfare, Department of Justice, and the deep state criminals and FBI and Department of Justice to go after Willie Nelson and also the guy that was Cheech and Chong, the American guy, not the Mexican, Hispanic guy, the American guy. Reagan went after these two people, and Willie Nelson, I don't think, had to go to prison, but Cheech did. He was sent to federal prison for I think 9, 10 months. And Ronald Reagan used lawfare against Cheech, not Chong, Cheech, and the white guy. And Ronald Reagan went after used the FBI and the IRS, government agencies, the corrupt IRS, to go after Willie Nelson. And you know why Willie Nelson sang the national anthem at the 1980 Democrat National Convention? He sung the national anthem at the 1980 DNC, where Jimmy Carter was renominated. But he ruined Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson lost everything he owned. They took everything he had. Willie Nelson had to start over from scratch. And he was a strong man. And he did. He started over and he got back on his feet. And this using government agencies to go after people. The Democrats are worse for it than the Republicans, but I'm still upset with Ronald Reagan for doing that to Willie Nelson and Cheech. Cheech and Chong was real popular back in the 60s and 70s when smoking a little grass caused no harm, and Cheech and Chong was part of that culture, and they were funny. They were part of the comedy culture around marijuana, liberalism, marijuana and everything. And there wasn't a whole lot wrong with a little bit of marijuana back in the 60s and 70s, but a lot of lives were upset, ruined, because of lawfare against human nature. Smoke a little dope. But anyway, that was C. Allen Muncy, great American who fought lawfare like Trump has been doing for years. C. Allen Muncy kicked their butts and won. Great American, C. Allen Muncy. And this is your hillbilly historian coming to you from the hills of East Tennessee, Appalachia, where also C. Allen Muncy is from, part of Eastern Kentucky, the Appalachian Hills. Great American. Should go down in history for his fight against the corrupt deep state use of lawfare in Washington, D.C. But anyway, this is your hillbilly historian saying good day.